Hey, welcome to the latest video blog. Fresh back from the Canadian International Auto Show. Was there for 5 days, shot a bunch of videos and stuff for wheels.ca. If you want to go over there and have a look around, that would be a good idea. And met lots of people that watch right here. People, without a doubt, love the video blog. So that's great. Met all kinds of people, asked questions. I tell you what, if I had $1 for every time somebody asked me about that new Volkswagen Golf, I could have retired. Hands down, it was the most talked about car, to me anyway, people wanting to know about it. Sure, there was the Ford GT that was there, they had the NSX, but people coming up to me wanted to talk about the Golf R. For sure, that was the most talked about cars. Once again, I'd like to get people to follow at Twitter. It's at Driving with Zack. That way, when I send out these videos and all the other stuff I do, you're going to get a notification in your Twitter account, so that's good. And a lot of people are going to Motormouth Canada. Make sure you go over there and like it, and then you'll see the feed of new videos, and you can ask questions on there as well. So Twitter is a good way to ask questions, and of course at Motormouth Canada, the Facebook page. So let's get into it. Lots going on, and I'm traveling a lot. Like I was gone all last week to Toronto. I've been home for 2 days and I'm off to Montreal to do a winter driving program with Chrysler. We're going to drive the Jeep all-wheel drive vehicles, of course, Ram all-wheel drive, and the Chrysler vehicles, and going to drive them in the snow. It's freezing cold in Montreal, so that should be fun. I'll get some videos out of that. Following week, I'm back to Montreal to drive the new Sorento. I'm going to be doing that up towards Mont Tremblant, which should be fantastic. Love it up there. All right, first question comes from Paul Londez. It says, I'm presently kicking tires, looking for a replacement vehicle for my C70 Volvo. That's an interesting car. It's going to be his Touring Forever garage car, so he's tucking that one away. I started my test drives in May, June, targeting an August delivery date. I'm very specific about what I like and dislike. Correct me if I'm wrong. When I sign an agreement for purchase, is the agreement to deliver the exact car upon the agreed price? If it's not available as specified and not available for factory order, then the agreement is null and void and a full deposit is recoverable. Long-time viewer, I'd love to have visited you at the Toronto show, but my wife says that would have been stalking. Well, it would have been nice to say hello. So there you go, Paul Loundez, I believe is how you say the name. Okay, so you've got the C70, you're going to tuck it away in the garage, and you're looking for something else. You want to know the purchase process. If it's a very unique car that a dealership might have a hard time getting rid of, say something that's very expensive or something that you're speccing out as a very unique product, and then it comes and you don't buy it, well, you're kind of leaving that dealer on the hook to try and sell a car that maybe not as easy to sell. If, however, you're just buying, we'll pick a BMW, for example, a BMW 335, and you've got some packages on it, and it comes, you are really not obliged to buy that car until you drive it off the lot. So at the 11th hour, if you change your mind, you can walk away. And you should be able to get your deposit back. Here's my advice to anybody that's putting a deposit on a car. Make sure that you write on that agreement, refund is, the deposit is fully refundable. The deposit is fully refundable, and it should be anyway, but just make sure when you're buying a car, deposit is fully refundable. And the other thing is, put the deposit on your credit card. Give them $1,000 on your credit card. If you start getting in trouble, you can always go back to Visa or MasterCard or whoever and get them to block that and reverse the fee. So yes, until you drive that car off the lot, you do not own it, okay? And you can be right at the 11th hour, about to sign for it. If you do not take personal possession and drive it off the lot, it is still their car. However, if you're going to buy a very specific car that's lime green with a red interior and chrome wheels, yeah, you got to kind of be a little bit more realistic there and take the car. All right. Noel says, I enjoy your show, Zach, ever since the days when you used to film in my hometown of Ladner, British Columbia. You know, when I first started doing car reviews on television, I started in 1992 doing them, funnily enough, on the radio. Then in 1994, I switched to doing them in television. I started out in Delta, British Columbia on Delta Cable. You know, like Wayne's World? You know, they did it in the basement on the local cable channel. Well, I started reviewing cars on the local cable channel in Delta, in Ladner, British Columbia. It was called Street Test, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. So I'm glad that you're a long-time listener, viewer. Want to go shopping for a used car in a dealer lot? You suggest to get the vehicle thoroughly inspected by a trusted source. Will the dealer allow me to drive it off and get it inspected? I'm planning on a 2014 lease return ex-demo Jeep Grand Cherokee diesel. Looking forward to reading your message on your YouTube channel. Okay. Here's the way it works. If you're looking at buying any vehicle, and he's right, I strongly suggest getting any vehicle, even if this is a 1-year-old or 6-month-old car, get it inspected. So what you do is you go in, you say, I'd like to put a deposit on this vehicle on your credit card with the notice that it's fully refundable if you don't buy the vehicle. Put it on your credit card so it can be reversed if there's any issues. And you say to them, okay, this is Bob's Jeep dealer. I want you, dealership, to send it over to Fred's Jeep dealer, and Fred is going to do the inspection, that dealership. So get them to send it from one dealership to the other dealership. You, however, will pay for that inspection, but only you are allowed to see that list of the items that are right and wrong with that vehicle because you paid for it, not the dealer that's selling it. So that's the best way to do it. It's called a pre-purchase inspection. You do not have the pre-purchase inspection done by the dealership that's selling it. You send it over to another dealership and get them to do it. You pay the $150 to $200 or whatever it is, and then they give you the form. Now, you can send it to an independent mechanic. And you can have, like in British Columbia, the Automobile Association has inspections. It depends where you are in different parts of the country, but often they'll go right onto the dealer's lot and they'll do an inspection on the dealer's lot, and then they give it to you and only you see it. So you don't need to drive it off the lot. You get that vehicle sent over. They'll have a lot jockey drop it off and pick it up. That's the way to do it. All right? Thomas Choi says, hey, Zach, born and raised in Vancouver, now based out of Toronto, and I'm watching your videos from Zambia. Awesome. I'm going to be traveling to Northern Ontario a fair amount over the next year and would like an all-wheel drive vehicle, something that is fun. I'm considering a used S5, that's an Audi, or STI WRX from Subaru. Thoughts on these? Any suggestions? Around 30,000 K. So here's what I would suggest. S5, fantastic. I would also consider a BMW 335 with xDrive or all-wheel drive. The STI, definitely. Now, here's the thing. The STI is always on. It's like, it's a rough ride. It's kind of noisy. It's like driving as close as you can get to a rally car from the factory. So it's kind of noisy. The S5, much more refined feeling. The BMW will be much more refined feeling. So yeah, you're barking up the right tree. Now you have to decide if you are the kind of person that can live with a car that's always on. If you're doing a lot of driving into Northern Ontario, that means you're going to be behind the wheel for a lot of time, driving for hours over maybe roads that aren't perfect. So consider that. Excuse me. So look at the S5 from Audi. STI is going to be really hard to get one for a test drive if you're looking for a used one, but the BMW 335 would probably be my choice. Peter Norris says, hey Zach, looking for an SUV recommendation. My wife is expecting our first child in the summer. Looking at a used SUV. My budget is 10 grand. My primary concerns are safety and reliability. Would you stick with the mid-2000s Honda CR-V or RAV4? Do you have any other suggestions? We live in the snow belt, so all-wheel drive is important. Well, you've nailed it right here. Those are two vehicles I would look at. Don't discount that Ford Escape, though. The Ford Escape was sold in massive numbers. It was the best-selling small SUV. It was sold for like crazy. So if you do exactly what I say, get the vehicle inspected. Now, we're not talking about an expensive SUV here. So $10,000, you want to get the best $10,000 SUV you can. So go around and look at them and find the best one you can. But that Ford Escape was actually really quite a good vehicle. The 4-cylinder got great gas mileage, simple, and that's one to consider. So those would be three I would look at. But please, 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 please send it from Bob's dealership over to Larry's dealership to get it inspected, or call the CAA and get them to do that. Dave Peterson says, hey Zach, I just received my order. Now this guy rolls. Listen to this. Porsche 911 991 C4S. That's some big cake there. It's even greater than I could imagine. I wish I had waited for the Cayman GT4. This guy's doing okay. Order one of those too. I want to buy a new, very fast SUV for the wife and 2 preteens. I need it for winter driving and to take it to track once or twice a year. I want lots of space as well. Looking for a Cayenne Turbo S, Range Rover Sport V8, BMW X5 or MX5, X5M, a Mercedes GL 63 AMG. Thoughts are much appreciated. Well, in order, I wouldn't get the Turbo S from Porsche. You might find that funny to believe. Though the Porsche Cayenne I would get would be the GTS. I have had the Turbo S on the track and I've had the GTS on the track, and the GTS blew my mind. It was better than the Turbo S. It is as close as you're going to get to a sports car of that size of SUV, and if you can get the V8 one, without question. Now, they just introduced, and it was at the Toronto show, and if you're in Toronto, Dave Peterson, you can go and look at the Range Rover Sport SVR. I think it's called Special Vehicle Racing. I think that's what SVR stands for. Anyway, it's the very first Range Rover Sport to have that designation. It's the high performance version. The BMW X5, yeah, it's a bit big. So if you're wanting space, the Mercedes GL and the BMW are going to win there. But if you want sportiness, the Cayenne GTS, not the Turbo S, would be the one that I would get. Not a big fan of the turbos in the Cayenne. I prefer the naturally aspirated GTS. Travis Powell says, hey Zach, can you explain the main differences between traditional winter tires and all-weather tires? Is it true that all-weather tire is suited for wet and slushy roads when the temperature is 7 degrees and below? Is that correct? Could you recommend an all-weather tire during the winter months for the city limits of Vancouver, hardly getting any snow, as opposed to getting an all-season? Yes. So here's what works with an all-weather tire. So you've got straight winter tires that have a knobby, grippy tread and lots of sipes to dissipate water and stick to the ice. And then you have an all-weather tire, which is sort of half as aggressive. So the one that I particularly like is made by Nokian. So what they've done is they've taken that winter tire and they've detuned it, made it a little less aggressive, but still has a lot of the attributes that you get with a regular winter tire. Nokian has been hugely successful with marketing their all-weather tire and selling a lot of them. And in my opinion, they are a perfect tire for slushy, wet weather like you're describing in Vancouver. So if you're looking for an all-weather tire, that's the one that I would get to. In my opinion, though, I still believe that it's best to have 2 sets of tires. A winter tire, dedicated winter tire, and a dedicated sort of summer tire. But if you're wanting to split the difference, the Nokian all-weather is the way to go. And it really is a detuned winter tire. Aaron Smith says, food for you, why does he say food for you? Maybe good for you. Aaron Smith says, refreshingly honest, what do you think of the Lexus NX? Now the Lexus NX is going to be one of those vehicles, that's their new small luxury crossover from Lexus, based on the Toyota RAV4. So what do I think of it? Well, it's definitely edgy looking, right? It's got all those angles and shapes. It's based on the RAV4 platform. It has the new turbo 4-cylinder direct injection engine in it, and it's definitely the next step forward from Lexus. We're going to see that Turbo 4 used in more products, and so it comes down to styling. I'll tell you one thing I like about it. The interior, I think, is really, really nice on the NX, and that's what you spend time looking at, is the inside of it. The outside of it, very personal taste. I'm not sure if it's going to age particularly well years down the road. And the car I drove were very early production models they brought over in the summer to test drive at Whistler, and now the models are just arriving at dealerships now. So I need to get it back and live with it for a week with that engine to see what I think of it. But it's softly sprung, it's a luxury product, it is a Lexus, it's not going to disappoint those that like traditional Lexus, but the styling is personal and the inside I think is really, really nice. But I really do need to get it back. All right, that's the latest video blog. I am in a bit of a rush because I got home Sunday. My wife's birthday was yesterday, so I'd spend time with the kids and the wife and all that. Today, I'm rushing around getting stuff done because I got to go to Montreal tomorrow and then the week after. So keep the video questions coming. Thanks to everybody that I met in Toronto, and I'll see you very soon with some new videos from Montreal here on the channel. Thanks for watching.